Happy Friday, Brian Manny here with the weekly update. Let's get right to it. So, Monday of this week was President's Day. Markets were closed. Not a lot to talk about there. I can't believe it's President's Day. All these holidays just roll by so fast. Tuesday this week, we got some feedback from CoreLogic. They give us feedback on rents and tell us that rents are going up 2.8% year over year. This is important for us to look at because rents make up about 34% of inflation reading called CPI. And this is important because there's always a lag effect there. CPI report shows rents going up at around 6%. So hopefully we continue to see a leveling of rents in the CPI report to continue to give us beneficial inflation information. Wednesday this week, we got some feedback from the Federal Reserve. This is from the minutes of their January 31st meeting. They just say, they don't really want to discuss much on rate cuts. But I think what's really important to notate here is that they did say in the March meeting they're going to start talking about their balance sheet and what they're doing there. So right now they're tapering their balance sheet. So they're running off mortgage-backed securities and U.S. Treasuries because the balance sheet swelled to like $8.4 trillion through COVID. And what's really important is going to be, through these discussions, when are they going to look at the slowing of the tapering from their balance sheet or the stopping? Because that's going to be very impactful to interest rates. So we're going to be eager to see what they say there in the March meeting, and definitely going back and look at the March minutes as well. Thursday this week, we got existing home sales. Let's take a look at this real quick. So this is feedback for existing home sales across the country. On a month-over-month basis, existing home sales were up 3.1%. On a year-over-year basis, existing home sales were down 1.7%. What's really important to note is that December numbers actually got raised higher and looked better. So if December numbers weren't revised, we would have seen a 5.8% increase with existing home sales versus 3.1. Annualized pace is at 4 million homes right now, so that's across the country. How many homes that sell on an annual basis? It's definitely down. Of course, because we're down 1.7%, it's going to be interesting to see what happens coming into this spring home buying season. Median home price was up 5.1%. This is not home appreciation. This is median price. A lot of people mistake this. And also what we really look closely at is going to be inventory. So inventory is at just over 1 month. That's up 2% on a month-over-month basis. It's up 3.1% year over year. We have 3 months supply of inventory. A balanced market is 4.6 months supply. So it's still going to be a seller's market at 3 months. And then days on market is at 36 days, is up from 29. I'm not too worried about this. We're in winter. We always see these adjustments in winter. I'm more curious to watch these numbers in the spring and we'll see what happens there. Also, first-time home buyers make up 28% of all purchase transactions. If you're a realtor, you should note this. We talked about this at Black Belt the other day. It's essentially a third of all transactions are first-time home buyers. Very important to keep your finger on the pulse with first-time home buyers. Cash buyers was up to 32%. This is interesting because Lawrence Yun, the chief economist with the National Association of Realtors, came out and said they're seeing more cash transactions than ever before because households across the country are the wealthiest and the most cash heavy they've ever been. So interesting to see more cash transactions there, and investors were up from 16% to 17%. So existing home sales not bad, kind of what we expected to see for the month of December. Also Thursdays, we've got some feedback from Fed members speaking. So first we had Fed Governor Christopher Wallace. He actually had a speech that was entitled "What's the Rush?" He was talking about interest rates and the realities of the Federal Reserve. In their speeches says that they acknowledge that they're probably going to lower rates sometime this year, but they're not in a rush. It's going to be off the board in March, of course. Maybe June is hard to say. I personally don't think you're going to see any Fed rate cuts until middle to the end of this year. I think that they're just going to be very patient and they're not going to want to jump the gun like Paul Volcker did back in the 80s. So they're going to be very cautious there. You also had Philly Fed President Patrick Harker. He is not a Fed voting member, but of course, anytime a Fed member speaks, people listen to him. And he was really echoing the same tone, saying that, they know they need to cut interest rates, but it's just not going to happen just yet. So we have to watch and see what's going to happen. It's not going to be the next couple of months, but it's like I already said, it's likely going to be middle to end of this year. Then we get some feedback from ZipRecruiter. This is really important because the Federal Reserve has 2 mandates. So the first mandate is price stability. They focus on controlling inflation through price stability. And their second mandate is stable employment. And if you look at this, the Federal Reserve in their reports that we get through like the BLS, that's the Bureau of Labor Statistics, this keeps showing this really rosy and robust housing market. But when you look at companies like ZipRecruiter, the CEO of ZipRecruiter came out this week and he said, hey, demand in 2023 for hiring through small and mid-sized businesses was really low. And when you look at what ZipRecruiter is saying versus what the BLS employment report is saying, there's definitely a stark contrast between the two. And I think we have to just kind of continue to watch what's happening with the employment report. But ADP, who reports employment numbers, their numbers are lower. ZipRecruiter is saying that the hiring demand just hasn't been the same, but the BLS report always seems to be a little bit disconnected. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. I'm around all weekend. If you have any questions, give me a call. I'm available 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. If you want to learn how we're closing purchase transactions in 10 days, give me a call. I'd love to help you. Happy Friday. Have a great day.